So you're a growing nonprofit, and things are going great, but there's a compliance tripwire you might be about to hit without even realizing it. In this explainer, we're going to break down how fundraising success can accidentally lead to multi-state registration headaches, and more importantly, how you can stay ahead of the curve.
Welcome to the Multi-State Fundraising Compliance Series. This is where we really get into the nitty-gritty of charitable solicitation registration, but we do it in practical terms that make sense for busy nonprofit leaders and finance teams. This resource is provided by Ironwood Registrations.
You know, when most nonprofits get started, everything is local. You're raising money from your neighbors, from local businesses. It's all about that grassroots community support.
But then, you start doing really well. People connect with your mission, your programs take off, and word starts to spread. All of a sudden, you look up and realize your supporters aren't just from down the street anymore. Your fundraising footprint has gone way beyond your local neighborhood.
And that is where things can get a little tricky from a compliance standpoint. See, here's the key thing to remember. The act of asking for donations, what the law calls charitable solicitation, isn't regulated by the federal government. Nope, it's handled state by state. That means every time you cross a state line, even a virtual one online, you could be walking into a whole new set of rules, paperwork, and fees.
So let's talk about how this actually happens, because a lot of the time, it's completely unintentional. First up, let's look at your digital footprint and how those everyday online tools can expand your reach faster than you might think.
Think about it. It often starts with something as simple as your own website. You put up a Donate Now button to make it easy for people to support you. Well, guess what? That button doesn't have a zip code. It's accessible to anyone, anywhere in the country, which means you're technically soliciting donations everywhere.
And it's the same story with your email newsletters and campaigns. You send out an appeal, and maybe one of your biggest supporters in one state forwards it to their cousin in another. Boom! You've just extended your reach into a state you probably weren't even thinking about.
And then, of course, there's the big one, social media. All it takes is one passionate supporter sharing your campaign, and suddenly their entire network sees it. Or maybe you do one of those peer-to-peer campaigns where your supporters fundraise on your behalf. These things can spread like wildfire, pushing your fundraising appeal into dozens of states in a matter of hours.
Okay, so that's the active digital stuff, but what about when you're not even trying? Let's talk about that unintentional reach, where donations just show up from places you never expected. This can create a real compliance puzzle. I mean, look at this list. A local news story gets picked up by a national outlet. One of your board members mentions your work to a friend in another state. Your cause gets a shout-out during a national awareness campaign. These are all pretty passive things, right? But here's the kicker. In many states, just receiving a single donation, even if you didn't directly ask for it, could be enough to trigger a registration requirement. This all leads to a really important question for any growing organization. As your fundraising footprint expands, what's the next step? How do you manage this new reality?
Well, the answer is definitely not to stop fundraising. Of course not. The answer is to get strategic. The solution lies in doing periodic compliance reviews to make sure your legal obligations line up with your actual fundraising activities.
And look, a review might sound intimidating, but it's really a pretty straightforward four-step process. First, you assess all your fundraising solicitations, look at every channel to see where your appeal is going. Second, you identify your donor locations by analyzing your donation data. That tells you your real geographic footprint. Third, review the registrations you already have to make sure you're in good standing. And finally, you align your compliance by registering in any new states where your activities require it.
Here's the main thing to take away from all this. Compliance isn't some kind of punishment for being successful. It's just a normal, necessary part of it. As your fundraising grows, your compliance strategy just has to evolve right along with it.
And that leaves us with one final thought, a question for you to take back to your team. As you look at your own organization's success and its reach, is your compliance strategy keeping pace with your fundraising?